Hey there, YouTube friends. Do you struggle with the building tools in Planet Coaster 2? Are you one of those people that just relies on blueprints and workshop items and really wishes you could create your own things? Well, if that's you, I'm here to help. Today we're going to build this building using all in-game pieces, and we're going to go over a lot of the techniques that you can use to make great looking structures with just a little bit of effort. So if you're excited for that, stick around. I'm maskedbandit and I'm so glad you are here. Let's build an information hut together. Alright, so let's get started building this information stand. We're going to start with the actual functional part, and then we're going to build around it. And I'm going to be going in lots of detail about hotkeys and things like that, so hopefully this will be informative to you. Feel free to scrub around, and the basic thing that I want you to get out of this is probably going to be we're going to start with very basic, and then we're going to dress it up. So if we get a level where you're like, that's good enough for me, that's where you would stop. But if you want to really push it, then I'll show you some details you can do to really bring your generic look to the next level. So let's jump in and let's go into facilities, and I am going to go to create custom, because you always have to do that in Planet Coaster 2. And I'm going to go to the guest service shop, which has an eye on it, which means information to me. And we have 2 of these in our shop, so 1 and 2, and look at that. They are not directly across, and that's fine. Next, I'm going to jump into the scenery tab, and once again, click on create custom. At least for now, as this is just a few days after launch. Maybe that'll get changed someday. One could only hope. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the wooden wall. I have selected the walls, and I'm going to pick the wooden wall shop front. And I'm going to recolor it. One of the things right now is recoloring is kind of a pain. I'm going to recolor it pale gray though. You must click confirm. If I wanted the wall to be yellow and I clicked on it and then just tried to place it, it wouldn't be. It would default back to the original color you selected. So if that is a big thing that I'm still struggling with, so if you forget that, don't worry. It's a thing. But anyway, 1, 2 to cover that up, and then we're going to take the 4-meter wall and we're going to recolor it. And we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is your simple box shape. We're going to put the top on. We are going to go ahead into the plaster, and I'm going to go to the 1-meter gable, and oh no, I'm not. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the 2-meter slope, and I'm going to recolor this royal purple, and I'm going to plop that on top. Now I take this piece, and to copy that I hit Control D for duplicate. I could just go over here and slop it on, but if I want to save maybe a little bit of time, I can click, hold down Shift, click the other wall piece, and now duplicate both of them at the same time. The only issue with this is you'll notice it doesn't line up with the wall. We have to rotate it. So Z rotates pieces 90 degrees or rotates the pieces you've selected. And you can hold down Shift to select multiple pieces so you don't have to do them one at a time. And just with the peak, it's already looking a little bit better. It still looks like a glorified shed, but we can fix that too. I am now I'm going to go to the 1-meter gable, and I want to make this a little spicier than just staying on this 4-meter grid. I have it in feet because I'm a dirty American and I use the imperial system, which makes it really confusing. 13.12 is a little tough, but I know 4 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. I'm going to drop it all the way down to 1-meter grid sections, and I'm going to place it right about here. I held down Shift to bring this up, and I'm going to go once again, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to make sure that if I were to hover, I am on the inside portion. And you might be wondering, why didn't you do the walls first? Well, because we're going to use some different walls in this. Because once I push play and I open up these structures, I want to show you once I open up the structures, there's an interior in these, and we don't want to nest pieces. If I were to take this wall piece and do this, yes, that works, but then you see it, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to return to browser. I'm going to go back to my wooden walls, and I am going to find the 4-meter half width. And I'm going to, I have stick to surface and align to surface on. I like to use this to make sure I am on the correct axis as the buildings that I'm using. So you'll notice I have this free rotation going on, and I pushed X to enter this menu. If I push, for me it's spacebar, but the default is P. If I do that, I will get to lock onto angle, and you can see over here in the corner you can set your angle. I am setting it to 11.25, and now we can snap to the angle. So I'm going to make sure that it is the correct 90 degrees, correct flush with this building. I'm going to slide it on out, and you gotta be a little fiddly with it. Slide it down, slide it over, and we're going to make it look, don't forget to recolor, we're going to make it look like it is part of the whole structure. Now what I can do here is I can take both. Again, I held down Shift, Control X to copy, but to copy them in advanced move, rotate, and then I'm going to line up my edges because I don't want to have anything sticking out that looks kind of weird. So you'll see here, you'll see that seam. See the seam right here. It might be a little hard to see, but that right there. We can get rid of that just by making sure that we are flush. And now I've got the piece. It's still highlighted. Control X again to bring it on over and slide it into place. Boom, there we go. And now we can see that this building is already looking a little more interesting. So this little alcove here, this outcropping, is an easy way to make buildings look a lot less boxy. Just give them an addition. Let's add a roof. And so we're going to go into the roof menu, and I am going to go, and I believe I used this one, the market roof. And we already know that we've used the 2 height roof pieces here, or 2 height slope wall, so we can find our 2-meter slope. And we're going to put it on here. I'm going to show you what we're going to do this way. So now you see it's not snapping. Oh no, what did we do wrong? Well, all we have to do is change grid height. So this is 4 meter. One click over is 2 meter, 1 meter, and you can go even smaller than that. We are going to keep it on 1 meter or 3.28 feet. Align it, and look at that. It snaps right on there. I'm going to build the whole roof before I go ahead and recolor it. So down here, we're going to find the matching gable, the 1 meter gable piece, and we're going to, again, slide it down, and there you go. Our roofs are done, but they don't look right. They look weird. They're missing some trims, and this is another important step to really elevate your build. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the 2 meter eave side, and we're going to just slide that up. Again, I'm holding down Shift to move up and down, to raise and lower, and I'm using Z or Z to rotate these pieces, and that really speeds things up rather than coming over here or hitting a different button, finding a different way to rotate. So we also have a 1 meter pitched gable that we can put here. Make sure that's lined up real nice, but we're still missing the edge. Well, don't worry, Planet Coaster 2 has taken care of us in that regard as well. Just have to find the right one. 4 meter. If you pick the wrong one, I mean, wrong is subjective, but you will see it does not line up quite well. The 1 meter as well. It just doesn't look quite right. Maybe that works for you if you like that aesthetic. There's no right or wrong way, but I'm going to keep it matchy-matchy. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to slap on the eaves, the 2 meter eaves, and again, rotate around. Make sure I cover all of it. And then the last piece we need to almost the last piece we need are the little nubbins, these right here, these sloped ridge 1 meter pieces. So there's our 2 meter that we have, actually, that we've been building our roof with. Just spin it around and put it in place. Oops, put it in place there. And there you go. Now it's starting to look much nicer, but we have this ugly part here. It doesn't align. What are we going to do? Well, again, we have a ridge cap. It's lovely. So we're going to plop that on there. And we even have the nub here that we can do there. Now our roof is complete, but it's the wrong color. You can choose to do it this way, where you go in and now you must click on every single piece you have picked. And this can be a little finicky sometimes, but I'm just going through and I'm clicking all of my wall pieces while holding, or roof pieces while holding down Shift. including all the trims and other things. Oh, we forgot to do down there. Oh no. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a light gray, this Spanish gray. No, we're going to go darker. We're going to go dark gray, and then we're going to grab dim gray underneath, and then we're going to go dark gray underneath that. Oh, you can see I forgot to grab the roof trim. Oh no. So let's grab that. And let's recolor this. And you'll see my color palette that I've been using is here, but you're gonna have to go 3 back. This is the first color we chose. This was the second, this was the third. So keep that in mind. Light color was first, and then the medium color was next, and then the darkest color was under that, because we want it to match what we already have. There we go, just like so. We can come back in here and we can grab, I believe it's gonna be 2 meter. So here's something that's kind of tricksy. Let's see if that's right. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, so what's kind of tricky about this is even though it's a 1 meter gable, if it is actually aligned with the 2 meter sloped pieces. And that's just one of those tricks that over the course of time, one of those things you would learn and figure out. But so there you go. To make the edges match here, you actually need the 2 meter because it's a 1 meter gable, which is equivalent to the 2 meter sloped roof. And I know that's confusing. So we are getting closer now. Look at that. We are getting much closer. This sort of looks like what we're building. This canopy is a great inclusion. So you might say, good enough for me. Okay, that's fine. Then you're done. But if you want to add the windows and all that stuff and the canopy, the awning and all of that, we can do that as well. So awnings are surprisingly under signs and advertising, and then you're going to go into shop decorations. And down here is this one, the Planet Coaster shop awning. And we are going to plop this, we are going to attach it onto our building. Now I don't like that that is sunken in like that. I'm actually going to press X. I am going to bring it out just a little bit. There we go. Kind of make it like that. And now here's what I'm going to do. I know that we have this snap distance, but I tend to not be the biggest fan of that, although in this case it worked really well. So you can use this feature, this snap distance, and that's pretty cool because it allows you to line things up. Actually, let's go ahead and use this. It's pretty good. I have it on 1.64 feet, half a meter, and boom, like that. Right click. Right click is my favorite new hotkey, if you can call it that, in Planet Coaster 2 to close out of what you were doing. Click the 2 of them, and now we can maybe center it. Oh, almost. Let's drop this down to the smallest, 0.82. Can we center it? No. So I'm going to turn the snap distance off, and I'm going to center it myself as best I can. I'm eyeballing it. There. Boom. Except it's got this Planet Coaster logo on it, and I'm not a fan of that. So again, select and recolor. We're going to recolor it just orange, and we're going to make it all orange. And by doing so, oh, look at that. That texture is hidden. Oh no, we want that to be dark. There. Doesn't that look swell? Now, I'm not going to recreate the sign in this. It's pretty straightforward. We just go into the fonts, and actually what I did is rather than try to resize each one, I placed them down individually, selected them all, and then scaled them to the size I wanted. And they scale relative to each other up to a degree. So that's really helpful. You can scale multiple objects, and they will all scale together relatively well. And then behind it, all I did was place the plaster wall 1 meter half width to act as a sign. I want to show you what I've done is once I made my sign and colored it, I copied all the pieces and then created my own drop shadow by just copying it and making it black. And that really helps it pop. So we are going to try to collect all of these so we can copy it onto another structure. Now this is going to be fiddly, so I'm going to get this done and then I will be back. So I've highlighted my entire sign. I'm going to push Control X to make a duplicate of it, slide it out, and then I'm going to click again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag to highlight just those pieces, and I'm going to go up here to split from building. And now this is its own thing, and we can move it wherever we want, independent of any structure. Isn't that awesome? It's a great tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to go press X to advance move, spin it, and we're going to plop it on this building. And we're going to center it, and it's going to look pretty. We'll put it right about there, more or less in the same place. Actually, it's a little taller. Alrighty then, let's make it a little bit taller. Good enough for me. We'll get approximately close. There we go. That'll work. So now what I'm gonna do is it's on there, but it's not part of the building, which is a pain. So if I wanted to move the building, it doesn't come with. Oh, and all my staff members left. Oh no. Come back. There we go. Jump back in there, please. Thank you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna exit all my menus, escape or right click. I'm gonna press I to bring up the multi-select tool, highlight everything, and then press Control because I don't want these paths. It's really cool that you can select paths to be included, but I don't need that here. And then I'm going to confirm the selection, and I'm going to add scenery to building. And now all these rogue pieces are part of the building. Now if I move the building, they're all going to hop out again. The sign comes with it, and that's fantastic. I pressed Escape to not confirm that movement. So there. And again, maybe this is where you're like, great. Good enough for me. Well, thank you for watching then. But if you want to go even further, we can put the little sign up there. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go into scenery and we'll go back into signs and advertising, but this time we're going to go to facility signs. We are going to find the I for the guest service sign. We're going to plop it on there. You can hold down C to scale. Isn't that neat? That's a cool hotkey. And so we're going to scale it down just a little bit. We'll put it there. There you go. Information sign. To me, this can still be dressed up. So let's add the doors and windows because that's the next logical step. So we have this door on the edge and we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go into building. I'm going to go into decorations and doors and I'm going to find this door, the standard door, single one. And that's snapping to the building. Now what I like to do, a trick you can do to really make it just like a little more realistic, is when you place it, enter advanced move by pressing X and slide it as far in as it will go. Because most doors don't look tacked onto a building, they would be inset, and I don't really want to spend the time to inset all of my doors and windows. Some people like to do that, I don't. But if you sync it as close as you can, you'll get a much better look. And we're going to find what window this is. So instead of being in the doors, we'll go to the Windows tab, and I believe it's this one. If we look at the side of the building, you can see we have another window here and some more windows up here. All of these are found in the Window tab. I'm going to go ahead and slap these windows on, and I'll be right back. All right, so this is already looking really nice. And so here you can see I've also thrown in the second door on the back and all these little windows. And that looks absolutely great. A nice little generic building. But let's go a step further. So let's add some trim. We're going to go into building and then framework, kind of a weird place for it. And we will find the support beam square thick. I'm going to go with 4 meter. I am going to turn angle snap off for this just because that's what I am used to doing. Or not angle snap, I'm going to turn snap distance off just because that's my comfort at this point. You can use it if you want. It's a little fidgety for me. I'm going to turn this teal blue. Both are going to be teal blue. And I'm going to snap this onto the wall and I am going to use angle snap. And I am going to make sure that my trim, I'm going to put trim on all the corners. And I'm going to make sure that you cannot see it poking out, right? This is a little fiddly, but it is absolutely worth it. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on all the walls. And I am also going to put it down on the bottom. And I'm going to separate the purple and the two textures here with trim. And I'm going to play with scaling a bit. On the ones on the bottom, I'm going to scale just a little bit to make them a little thicker. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to add trims. So I'll show you. Well, I'll go ahead and do that. Here's a quick tip. Copy them both and slide them back rather than have to place them on every side. Work smarter, not harder. So there we go. We're going to add those there. And let's just go around, zip around, and quickly put these in place. I want to cut in right here and show you what I'm going to do all of this. So look, I don't want my trim to cut into my doorway. So I'm going to bring it as close as I can. And I'm going to copy it again. And this time I'm going to hide it in the structure. And I'm going to nest some of them. It's a little extra work, but I think it does a great job of making it look a lot more realistic. So we're going to slide this over ever so, just a couple of them. 1, 2, and we might as well add the one that's over here anyway. There you go. And that's how you can really make this look nice and snug, make this look really good. So if I take away the grid, you will see that looks really nice, I think. So we're going to finish up the trim. So the next steps after this are probably what you would want to do once you have established where you want the building to go. And this is going to really plus the area around it. A small backstage, including a staff entrance area and a bit of foliage and even some extra details like gutters and AC units. This is a notch above. I would say at this point, this is probably, oh, I forgot some trim. At this point, I would say this is probably in the good enough category. All right, this is actually a great teaching opportunity. If you ever notice that your building is connected to a different building, you can go in there. You can go to edit your structure. You can go in. I can highlight everything. I don't have to worry because I know it's already, you can see it's attached to this first building. Oof, I'm gonna go from split from building like we did before. And now I'm going to select everything except the paths, confirm it, and now I add all of that. And now it's all one part of the building. Yeesh, I done made a mistake. So anyway, as I was saying, at this point, this is probably, we're at about 85%. And for most people, this is pretty good. This has already been, for some people, more time and effort than they've put into a structure before. But I think the results speak for themselves. If you want to stick around, the next part's going to be how to really dress it up, how to really kind of put it into situation. We're going to add this gate, then we'll do some backstage stuff and some stuff like that. So yeah, let's press forward and kit it all out. So if you're still hanging with me, thanks so much for that. Really appreciate it. Why don't you consider liking the video so that we can get more eyeballs on this kind of stuff to help people build in Planet Coaster 2. We're going to take this up another notch. Notch is unknown. I'm going to double click and enter the building, and I'm going to go to my scenery. I'm going to go to walls, and I'm going to scroll back down to my wooden walls here that we've been using. But I'm going to find the 2-meter half width, and I'm going to make sure that it snaps to the side of the building. I'm going to make sure that we have our snap turned on. Remember to use spacebar or P, whichever your hotkey is. And I'm going to scale this all the way down to 50%. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it just stick out a little bit here. We're going to be blocking. The whole idea here, if we look at the reference, is to block the view for people to see what the backstage area looks like. So that's kind of what we're going to be trying to do here. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to slide it over just a little bit. Remember to use X to enter advanced move, things like that. We have to recolor it. Don't forget to hit confirm. And then we're going to go to one of the most versatile and one of my favorite pieces. It is this one, the resort wall decoration. And again, it snaps to it, but it's a little thin. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to scale it to about 140%. Give or take, doesn't have to be perfect. And you might notice it's still a little small, but now I prefer this a lot more. And what we can do is we can actually just nest 2 of them together. I'm going to color it a brown. I'm going to actually manual. Brown is sort of in the orange sphere. And here's a hint for you. If you want your wood to look more distressed, head closer to gray. If you want it to look older and washed out. If you want it to be newer, it's going to be richer in color. And you might even want to do a bit of yellow to it. That could be a harder color to find, to be like more original. There you go. Like that's like yellow pine. The issue is the texture of that piece does not look new to me. So I'm usually going to, if I'm going to use this piece, I'm probably usually going to be pretty well worn. And you can see what that looks like. Oh. as I just made it disappear. And now I'm going to copy it with Control Z, or Control X, excuse me, to copy it with advanced move. And then I'm going to bring it back down. I'm going to scale it again, but we're going to turn it this time to create this look here. And I am going to scale it down back to about 100%. And we will go like that. Click, and on the other side, click. And then what we could do is we can hold down Shift to highlight both, drag them up there, and ta-da. Now, if you're like, oh, like for me, I want this to be just a little bit higher. There we go. And if we wanted to have it come out just a little bit further, all we got to do is select the pieces, hold down X, and when you see this kind of off-centered thing, you can click here to go to the to the world grid, assuming you have built it on the world grid like I have. And there we go. Let's add some signage to it. So I'm going to go into scenery, and our props, excuse me, and signs and advertising. And then it's the hunt. Here it is. It is in signs and advertising. We're going to put a little sign barrier, and this is really big, so let's just scale it down just enough. There we go. And just so it's very clear, we're going to go into our editable sign, and we're going to make a staff only sign. So we'll just plop that on there, and we'll go staff. I like to do all caps with a lot of my signs. Staff only. And that is massive. So let's fix the size of it. Bring it way down. There we go. We can go as far down as 10%. That's a little too much. So we're going to go about 20% there. And I like that font a lot, but I think if I have it, I want it bold. Yeah, that to me looks really nice. Let's put some paths in. We're going to go to the staff path, and we're going to go to the stamp builder, and we're going to put it on size 1. And over here, you can see that it is sticking out not as much as the stamp pad. Let me show you how we got that to work. So I'm going to put it here, and we're going to just come on back like this, and we're going to build our staff path back here, make it look a little nice like that. And actually, I think we will, what did we do over here? I see. So we're going to go into our stamp builder, and we're going to stamp that. There we go. That looks better to me. And now we see how big this is. We could fix that by going back into the path tool, and now we're going to go to edit, and we're going to slide this and highlight this whole area and slide it like so. And now we have a nice narrow area. And if you're not sure if this is big enough, small enough, one of the secrets to building realistic scale is to go into scenery and go into statues and centerpieces, and they have a whole bunch of these characters. This is the size of a real in-game peep. And so if you just put one there, that seems reasonable to me, right? I think that looks pretty good. So we're gonna come here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the fence in next. And again, we are just gonna do a rough approximation of what we have across the area. There, we'll just, oops, I wanted that to be a staff path. It's just as easy as stamping over what you have. So we'll switch tools, go back to here, boom, there's our backstage area. Now let me put a fence around it. I'm gonna put a little fence around it so that we have access. And actually, I do want to delete that. We'll delete that one little path area there. Cool, so I'm gonna come into my building to make sure I'm in the building. And then I'm going to go to scenery, and I'm going to go back to that same menu where we have this the fence portion of this beam that we use. And I'm going to keep it as is. And we're going to have that fence go all the way to the edge of our border here. And I am going to recolor it to make it look old. I don't want it to be blue. I want it to be more generic than that. And we're just going to outline our little backstage area here. A little bit of overlap is no big deal. Oh, we're a little off, so we can fix that by highlighting them, hitting X a couple times, and now this, we need to turn snapping off, so you press your hotkey to snap, minus spacebar. And you'll notice that we're a little bit off the grid here with this structure. It's either the structure or the path. It's probably the path because we fiddled with it. In fact, it should be like that. And then what we can do is we can fix the path later. I'm going to finish up this fence and adjust the paths using the techniques I showed with the node editor in the path tool, and I'll be back. Alright, so I went ahead and I filled it all out. Now you can leave your staff path like that, or you can grab some, you can take some pieces, some floors, and you can add a little bit more to it. So let's go to our floors. And let's see, there's a floor that I used called the stone ruin floor. And it has a nice texture on it. And if I turn my grid height all the way down, we can get some really nice path covering going on in here. There we go. We have our little path built now, our little backstage area. And now you just clutter it up. You just add little details to make it look nice. Like back here, you can see we've done some bins. I made my own little pallets using planks, sunk in a bit of a ladder, some fencing. Umbrellas would look great in the back, things like that. And that just is what really sets it apart. And over here we added some air conditioning units, which you can find those in the props, and down here in facilities you will find the air conditioning units. And yeah, and then just a little bit of foliage and a little bit of planting. I'm not going to go into detail about that. The last thing I do want to add though for me is I want to add just a little bit, and you'll see how wobbly my paths are here. I do want to add just a little bit of rope. So let's go into scenery, and rather than hunt, I'm just going to type in rope and go to everything. And here's everything in the game that has the word rope in it. And we will find our 2-meter rope and attach it, and obviously scale it down. And it's a good thing we have this peep here, because we want this rope to be at roughly waist height. There we go. There. Now that looks like a backstage pass area. Cool. I'm not going to decorate this, but I'm going to show you the final one. We have just a couple easy trees here, and I've gone ahead and thrown in just some basic flowers. All of these can be found in the scenery menu, in the nature menu. I love this menu. Flowers here. These are all recolorable to flowers. Lots of different choices for how you want your flowers to look. I agree. It does look great. Thank you. And yeah, that's going to probably do it for this tutorial. There are other things. Oh, a piece of my roof disappeared. There, you could keep going. There's really no end. But for me, this is the level I like to leave it at. When I'm doing a much more realistic project, I do try to think about these things. I would recommend that you look at Google Street View of theme parks to see how a lot of it works, and obviously Google Maps to see how some of the backstage stuff is laid out. But yeah, you can get some really nice effects with just a little bit of time and effort. So I hope that you found this tutorial useful. Like I said, if you did, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing. Would you like to see more of these long form build with me videos? If you would, what would you like to see me tackle? This generic style is really what I'm into, but I do dabble in some more heavily themed things. Is there a scenery set you want to see me use? Tell me below, what are some things you'd like me to get into? So, with all that being said, thanks for being here. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I'll see all of you for some more Planet Coaster 2 content a little bit later. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.